In the last video, I showed you how to add the images from the card deck to the form using code by creating a number of picture boxes in code and adding them to the forms collection. Before I move on to the next step of moving them around the form, I want to show you some debugging techniques that you can use to trace down errors in your code and verify values that you've assigned to variables and objects. The first one I want to show you is how to set a breakpoint. The ability to set a breakpoint in your code and have the execution pause at a specific line is very helpful for tracing down exactly where an error is happening. So the first thing I'm going to clarify from the last video is how the X position variable is being set each time the code runs through this loop. So let's go ahead and set a breakpoint right here on this line where it's actually being set. And we'll do that by just clicking on the sidebar here, right at that line. You can see the red dot that appears and it highlights the line itself. And I'm going to go ahead and start the program. And it starts up. I'm going to go ahead and click the Deal Cards button. And you can see how the code just paused execution right there, right on that line. And if we look down here, there's a window called Locals that shows the values of all the existing variables and objects that we're working with in this program. You have the this object, which is the current object that you're working with, which happens to be the form itself. And it gives a couple of values on it, including the title bar text and the name. You have the sender, which is the button that we just clicked, and its text is deal cards, of course, and its type is a Windows Forms button. That's going to be very handy in the next video in this series. You have the X position and Y position variables with their current values. And you have the C card itself, which is the string, the text string that we retrieved from the keys collection of the card deck. And its value is currently the 2 of clubs. That's the first one it found. And then you have new card, which is the picture box object that we created in code. So that gives you a pretty good picture of all the values that are being worked with right now. And that's very handy for knowing what's going on in a program at any given time. Now, this is the first iteration through this collection. This is the first object that it's working with. So I'm going to go ahead and hit F11. And as you can see, the X position variable has been updated from 5 to 20. So it's updated that position, and the next card will be placed 15 pixels to the right. So let me go ahead and click continue. And once again, it stops on that line. The value is still 20. So if I hit F11 again, now it updates it to 35. So you can see how with every iteration through the deck, it updates that by 15. Now, in addition to viewing the values down here in the locals window, you can also hover over various settings and variables, and you can see the values as pop-ups, and that's very handy. So these are just a couple of debugging techniques that you can use, and as we go on in the series, we'll see a few more, but this should be very helpful in tracing down errors in your code when you encounter them. In the next video, we'll talk more about how to move the cards around the form and assign code to various events. So stay tuned.